James gets spooked. One cold fall night, it began to sprinkle. Percy felt worried. The rails will be slippery tonight and I could crash, cried Percy sadly. Oh, please, began James. What could possibly happen? Aren't you supposed to have character development by now? Asked Percy, very annoyed. Shut up! At least I would do it, boasted James. Percy rolled his eyes. Anyway, Percy, don't worry, nothing will happen. I'll take it for you, said Thomas happily. Thank you, Thomas. I promise I'll take it next Tuesday, said Percy. Sure you will, Percy, boasted James. Like you could do it, Percy replied crossly. Okay, you two, stop arguing. James, why don't you take the mail? Said Emily. Wait, I never said I would, replied James. Yes, you did, Thomas said cheekily. Well, I said that I would. Oh. Gordon laughed proudly. And anyway, I've pulled the mail before. Albeit not very well. But if you can take the mail, you must be able to take the flying kipper too then, laughed Henry. James wasn't thinking. Of course I can. He got onto the turntable and stormed off faster than the speed of sound. By the time it was midnight, James had realized his mistake. The next day, James was plotting his revenge in the yard. Duck had arrived. He crossly chatted with Diesel briefly, and he collected his cars. But he had overheard James and felt worried for Henry and Percy. Duck rushed off. Shoo, James, shoo, yelled Diesel. James jumped and ran away. At the sheds that evening, Duck raced onto the turntable. Percy, Henry, James is on to you, cried Duck wearily. On to us? What did we do? Oh, never mind. But mine was true. Yes, but he thinks you're lying, Duck said. We need to work together to get back at him. So they thought and thought and thought. That night, Percy set off for the mail. James sat along the main line nearest to Wellsworth Station. His driver thought that his trick was hilarious, so earlier that day, they went to go get a more eerie type of whistle. Meanwhile, as Duck pulled up on James, Percy went an opposite way. Henry whistled through with the kipper. And Duck rammed into James. James was spooked. He gave out the longest and loudest whoosh of his whistle he had ever done. James was frightened. He jumped and ran away. Ha ha. Oh, just like back at home, laughed Duck to himself. That night, Duck had arrived at the sheds very confused. Hello? He muttered to himself. Percy peeped. Oh, hi. How'd you get here before me? Said Duck, clearly confused. I know my ways around the railway, laughed Percy. That's when From behind the sheds appeared a little red coach. Duck jumped and Percy squeaked. But the rest of the story is to be held this Halloween. Roll the credits.
A Thomas the Tank Engine fan production.